Hello, Libra. I find this very funny and I hope not offensive, but I keep getting so many of the same kind of things that I have to say this. Um, of all the signs, Libra, you are some of the most proper in your comportment. This is for the week of August 18th, or when you hear it and it resonates, and it won't be for every Libra. So, you the Libra that I know tend to be fairly concerned about their comportment, right? How they carry themselves, their social etiquette, that kind of thing. And it's really one of your charming qualities, and it can lead to a certain elegance and social grace. But what I'm getting is something that is directly the opposite of that, and it is this. So, do you know what it's like? Have you ever been in a room with a puppy? Often puppies, but sometimes dogs, and they let a little gas go, right? There's a little doggy fart involved, and they let it go, and then they look around because they surprise themselves with this thing. And sometimes it's just a sound, and other times it can clear the room. It's just like, well, what I'm seeing is you like the dog. It's like all of a sudden you're letting out a little doggy fart, but it's not literally gas. This is really not about your intestinal tract or your digestive system. This is a correlation to the kind of things that you might have done or said that you thought would have been like the gas that would have cleared the room. Something that you would have looked around and been embarrassed about. It's that quality of it. And what I'm getting is that for some of you now, you're more able to let things go and not worry so much about what they look like, what they sound like, what they smell like, how they're going to be perceived. In other words, how they are going to affect the room around you. And this is really wonderful because that whole scenario, of course, that I'm seeing is done, it's with a humorous tone, as often will happen when these animals do these things that us humans consider so horrible, so mortifying. They do them, and it's like, what, they may be surprised by it, but they don't go, oh, sorry, I'm so sorry. They don't worry about it. So again, this is not specifically about you letting gas go. This is about you being more able to just be free and not worry about whether or not you're going to clear a room. Okay, I hope you're seeing the humor in this and are not offended in it. I asked for other images, and they all started being the same kind of thing, which is something that you would consider really not good in the past, really worrisome. Now, not so much. You're much more able to kind of let it go and maybe even laugh at yourself for it. Now, the thing that I also want to mention to you, Libras, is very often when we've had very domineering parents, very controlling parents, parents that are really clear on setting a standard or giving us the impression that who we are reflects directly on them, it can create the inability to really let go and be free. Sometimes to the point of not even talking about yourself or sharing your ideas. You might be very good at welcoming other people to speak and asking questions and helping them to open up. But remember, relationship is a two-way street. And people want to know, the kind of people that you want to have in your life, that one would want to have in their life, wants equal share, because that's equal give and take. And it really literally is an energetic play back and forth. They offer something, you can jump in, or you can just stay there welcoming more and more and more. But if you just stay there welcoming more and more and more from them, because you're afraid if you say anything, it's going to be the equivalent of the dog clearing the room, then they're never going to get to know you. And you're not going to have an idea really of if you're comfortable with them. It's not just them getting to know you, it's getting to know yourself in relation to them and them in relation to you. Because they can tell you all sorts of great things about themselves and share all sorts of stories. But unless you see them seeing you, responding to you, you don't really know who they would be in partnership with you as a friend, as a colleague, whatever it is. So this is about you letting yourself be freer to express yourself, to not just be the one who welcomes and facilitates conversation among people, but who actually join in and offer information without waiting to be asked. Because sometimes it's that waiting to be asked that can kind of create resentment. It's almost as though, no, I didn't know this, thank you. It's almost as though you're waiting for somebody to do for you what you do for them. When in fact, what you need to do is do for you what you do for them. Because not everybody, remember, not everybody sees the situation the same way. We can't. We're all individuals. You might come across somebody, for example, who never had the opportunity to talk about themselves and are so happy to be doing it. It's not that they don't want to know about you, but it's like somebody just took a cork out and all this stuff is coming. Doesn't mean that if you opened your cork and started sharing, it wouldn't create this wonderful creative dynamic between the two of you. But they may just not perceive it that way in that moment because of this opportunity you've given them to speak. So if they don't turn around and say, and what about you? Or ask you a probing question that elicits information, then thank you, that's another thing. Then don't be surprised. But the other thing is, sometimes when people ask you questions, you feel as though it's too personal because you are guarded, because you are afraid of saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing. So there's a little bit of a protection energy there. And sometimes people will feel that kind of like a wall and not want to go too deeply, not want to ask too many questions for fear that it's an intrusion. Okay? So Libra, all this to say, what I'm getting here is, again, the image of the dog. The image of the dog is just so beautiful and sweet and wonderful. And what is more loving and adorable than, well, in my world anyway, a pet? You know, a lovely animal or creature that has decided to just be friendly and real with you and lovely and be fully who themselves without censoring, because they can't. It's not in their nature, right? So what you're being told here is lean into that idea a little bit more with the understanding about relationship dynamics, the way Spirit's just described it. And when you catch yourself getting into that protective mode, look back, because very often that was started in childhood, where we were, for whatever reason, again, if we have a parent that is very, very concerned about image, presentation, even if they don't tell us we've got to shape up and be a certain way, we pick that up, and that can really close us down from feeling like it's safe to communicate, like we have anything valuable to share, especially if it's a very grandiose parent or a narcissistic parent or somebody who, takes great delight in being out there. That can really be intimidating to somebody who's not out there, who is by nature a bit of an introvert. So that can be like further reason for us to kind of close our energy in. But you're not meant to be doing that, Libras. You've got way too much delightfulness in you. When you are playful, you're just wonderful. And you can have the greatest sense of humor. But these are the things that often don't get shared because your fear that they'll be off color, they'll be taken the wrong way, and fear that you won't be able to self-correct, or that everything's got to be just right. You can't make a mistake, or you might clear the room. You're being told, notice what the stressors are for you in that. Check in with what you've been told. Thank you very much. Check in with what you have developed as your measuring stick for right and wrong, for the right behavior, the good behavior, all of that stuff. Look at where that comes from. Look at who that links to in your imagination, and check out with yourself whether or not that is maybe something you can reevaluate. For example, let me slow this down. For example, if this were a parent, and it were a parent who was very domineering and had all sorts of rules around behave this way if you're out in public, if you're going to stay at somebody else's house, make sure that you're not in the way, all these different things that can really lead to a lot of that constricted behavior. So check in with that. Notice where you find yourself stressed about being fully real, fully authentic, taking chances on exploring ideas and conversations, where you feel a little bit or a lot stressed, insecure, frozen. Look at what those are. Look at what that is that you're afraid of, and see where that might go back to an old idea and whether or not it's actually valid. Because usually when those things are coming up, usually when parents or schools or cultures impose those things on us, often it's because of some kind of insecurity on the part of the person or institution that is doing it, who is holding image as the most important thing. It isn't really, especially if you're going into developing higher consciousness and developing a more gracious and deep emotional palette to work with in life. If you want to be more feeling, more compassionate, be able to create rapport and engage in life and in relationship and all the wonderfulness, the wonderful messiness and juiciness of emotions, then appearance, that's going to get in the way. So this is where you get to look at that. I think many of you have already been working on this, but this is like the next step in where you get to really start choosing, making choices about what you like and about what you like about yourself and about what you want to grow in yourself. You've done a lot of work of liberating yourselves and doing a lot of work on things in the last several years, but really strongly in the last, I would say, 4 or 5 years. Now, this is where you get to take it to another level, where you get to really start understanding, where you get to understand where the stressors are and how to get to work with them, how to get to be proactive before, so you can start choosing and really focusing on what you like about yourself, where you'd like to go. Really, really working. Again, that choice muscle is so important for all of us who have ever felt as though we needed to contract ourselves in order to fit in or not cause a problem. So choosing, deliberately taking the steps to exercise your choice muscle, as this card says. Look at any place in your life where you give over to another person's opinion without first checking in with what you feel and what you would like, okay? So start experimenting with that, because in small ways, by doing it in small ways, you start getting your nervous system, because what they're telling me now is it really is about your nervous system, getting your nervous system used to the idea of taking a chance on being safe in stating an opinion. By doing that, what happens now is you start doing it around things that are not really consequential. Again, the example that I use is if you're ordering in food, what would you like tonight? Would you like Greek or would you like Thai? Oh, I think you don't say, oh, you decide. I like them both. Make a decision. Make a choice. And you can say, well, I think I want Thai. No, actually, as I say that, I realize I think I actually want Greek. You can change your choice, right? So just by making choices around simple things, you start getting your nervous system used to the idea of taking a chance on making a choice and having it be contradicted or not accepted. And that by doing that, literally what you're getting your nervous system used to is you're opening it up to these situations where it becomes safe, and therefore each time it becomes safer and safer. And as you use it on the small things, you're actually building the resources to then use it on bigger things and to know more immediately what your feeling is about something. Because the more you give yourself permission to choose, and the safer it becomes to choose, the more easily you're going to, and the more organically, naturally, you're going to know what your choice is the next time without having to stop and evaluate it. It's just going to be there. You're going to be in touch with that feeling of what's right for you. Thank you. That was nice. I like that. Okay, listen, Libra, I'm going to leave it with that because I'm just going to encapsulate this one thing, and that is this. This is, again, what they're saying is by doing these things, what you're doing is you are moving more completely into experiencing your power in the world around you. You're going to be expanding into your world around you in a much more colorful way and in a much more vibrant way. And that this is where you get to use the liberty and the courage and the resources that you have already developed and bring it more completely into how you experience yourself in the world and your ability to make choices and to know what the right ones are for you. And I think I might have said that already, but if I didn't, there you go. That's it, Libra. Take care.